Good morning, guys. So I'm out here in my backyard, and I just wanted to go through and show you all the progress on the container gardening. Since this is my first year doing it really in containers, I've planted several things before, but I, for some reason, never really was successful at it. So anyway, I planted a lot in containers this year because I did not want to do an in-ground garden this year because I don't know how long we're going to be here in this rental property, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to put in-ground gardens. So anyway, I love to garden. I love to grow my own food. I got a really late start this season, but I do want to show you the progress so far. And this is more so to let you all know that if you have a very small space, maybe a balcony on an apartment, or just a very small yard, or there's just certain vegetables that you love that you would like to grow yourself without all the pesticides or coming from a farm or anything like that. This is just to show you that you can be successful with container gardening, that it is highly inexpensive to do that. As a matter of fact, I'll go through kind of what I used and what I did to get everything set up. And yeah, anyway, here we go. Alrighty, guys, so first of all, I want to show you the buckets that I got. I got these at Walmart for under $4 a piece. They are food grade buckets. They're heavy duty, and they are BPA free. I don't want plastics leaking into my soil, which nobody does. So that is why I found these in the, I think it was in the hardware section, and this is what I got. And all I did was simply drill some holes in the bottom for drainage. You want your soil to be able to drain out. You don't want to overwater it, and your roots, especially your roots, be sitting in puddled up, soppy soil. So make sure if you do this that you put some drainage holes in it. My son has these really cool drill bits that fit perfectly on my little girly drill that I have, and it just kind of did these little swirly things right through the bucket. It was very simple. Had he not had that, I could have used just a regular drill bit. It probably would have been a little bit harder. So either way, however you want to do it, just get some holes in the bottom of your buckets. I still have a few here that I need to, fill, but I have a lot of transplants that I'm getting ready to show you all. So I did start some buckets already, and I did want to show you. So this is the progress. I just did this last weekend, and this is the radish already. So you can see that they are happy, they are getting fed well, and that they are enjoying life right now. They're also getting just enough sun to grow out here in the yard. I make sure to keep them very moist. In here, I believe I have cucumber in this one. Let me find my little label. Yeah, so I have cucumbers in this one. So they've already started sprouting. I have zucchini squash in this one, which has not started sprouting. And over here I have chives, which have not started sprouting. But again, I just planted these buckets last weekend. And I did a direct sow on them. Up here, I have a ton of herbs. My plan is to grow and dry all my own herbs. So I have a ton planted in here, and each of these containers has drainage holes like this one. For the basil, I had to drill holes in. I just used my drill for that as well, and this is kind of like a galvanized metal, so it just kind of drilled right through it. In here I have peppermint. In here I have scallions. This one is the oregano, and this one is the lemon balm. And again, all these just got planted last weekend too, so they're not quite sprouting. There are a couple little sprouts of basil popping through. I actually just noticed that, so I'm very excited about that. Anyway, those are starting to pop through. Back here, these were the seedlings that I started indoors. So I have dill and cilantro coming up. And in the back, I have some lemon balm and some chamomile. Now, the herbs have definitely taken their time. This basil, I don't know what happened here. I'm not sure if I remember I was talking with my daughter when we were planting, and she was helping me put the dirt and plant the seeds and stuff. And with basil, I'm honestly beginning to wonder if maybe I just accidentally did not put any seeds in here, because I'm extremely surprised that the basil has not sprouted in this particular little seed starter. So I'll probably redo that one here soon. But here I have peppermint, which is definitely slow to take off, which is kind of funny because peppermint can overtake anything and everything in your garden, especially if it's direct sown into the ground. So I'm very surprised that it's taken so long for it to start sprouting. But either way, I'm excited that it's sprouting finally. I have some rosemary growing. Here I have more basil. This basil's doing amazing. So that's why I'm saying that I think with that container back there, I just think I did not maybe put the seeds in it, maybe because I was distracted talking with my daughter. Anyway, so this basil's doing amazing. I planted some chives back here, not really knowing how well they would take off, and they haven't done that well. So that's why I replanted some more in the big bucket so they have more room and stuff like that. So we'll see. I mean, if those two came up, I highly doubt I'll get any more sprouts out of it, but you never know. And then also back here I have oregano and parsley. So I do have one little sprout of oregano, or a couple, that are finally breaking through. The parsley has definitely taken its time. I still have hopes that maybe the rest of those will come through, but we'll see what happens with it. Parsley is it's just more of a garnishment for food. We use it, especially Jay uses it more than I do. I'm more of a cilantro girl for salsas and stuff like that. Jay will put parsley in Italian foods and different stuff that he cooks. So parsley's just kind of one of those things that kind of hit or miss in this household. Over here, I still do have a lot of sprouts coming up. So these are Brussels sprouts actually, and it's a little late for these. Brussels sprouts should have been planted a while back because they take a long time to grow. But we'll see. We have a long growing season here. I'm going to transplant these all into buckets. So we'll see how they do. Hopefully maybe by the end of the summer into August, September, we'll get some Brussels sprouts that I can freeze to have throughout the winter. These are peppers. So as you can see, these are starting to come in. These are just sweet peppers. These ones are coming in really well. I don't know what the little sprouts are. I can't remember. These last ones were Swiss chard, and sometimes I put my plants outside to get a little more sun than just the bay window that they're in here. And I think for the Swiss chard here, I think it was just they were too delicate. And so the sun really wreaked havoc. That's the only thing that I can really think happened. We do have a lot of critters here that run. I have squirrels that get up on the deck and stuff too. And then of course I have my dogs. So I don't know if they stuck their nose in it. I don't know what happened. These two little seedlings here, they're fighting for their dear lives. But they've kind of sprouted back up. So I'm excited to see that. So we'll see where that goes. Swiss chard is another probably more cooler crop. That's why these ones I kind of keep more in the shade right now until I get the peppers a little bigger and transplanted. I don't want to burn them, but these are both sweet peppers also. One's like a mixed, and one's a jalapeno. So yeah, so we'll get those. I'll get those transplanted soon into buckets. I want to harden them off a little bit more before I do that. In here, yeah, don't mind all my stick labeling. Sometimes it's better, especially when it's raining and stuff, because it doesn't, kill the little sticks that you put in there, or warp them, or make the ink bleed or anything like that. So Anyway, I have a whole mixture of tomatoes in here. We love tomatoes here. I make a ton of salsa when I have tomatoes. I also make tomato sauce, and just keep that in the freezer. And I can jar tomatoes and everything else too. So I absolutely love tomatoes. The only thing here is that transplanting all of these is going to take some work and definitely some buckets. So if you're just wanting, you know, if it's just you or you got a small family, you guys just like a few tomatoes here and there, maybe just do 1 or 2 plants and see, you know, how they do. This here will bring in a very large harvest. Right now with these, I am getting them hardened off though, because I did start them so late. I don't want to just directly plant them out here in the heat, because it will shock them. So I'm hardening them off, which means hardening them off just means I bring them out and leave them out in the direct sunlight, you know, in the mornings when it's a little bit cooler so that they can get the direct sunlight and some of the heat. And then by the afternoon when we reach, you know, the upper 80s or 90 degrees, I'll take them back inside for the afternoon. They'll sit back in the window, but obviously the house is cooled somewhat, so you know, it's not like they're scorching in the heat, but they'll be hardened off probably by the end of the week. Safe enough, not this week, but by the end of next week, probably safe enough and strong enough to transplant. The thing too that I did is I upped them, or upgraded, this is a little pepper, but I upgraded them to these these little peat seedling starters. Those, what I'll do is just cut the bottom off of it, and I'll just sow those directly into the ground. Doing that creates a little less stress on the plant, and then this peat cup will break down in the soil, and actually becomes a good soil additive for them. But I do cut the bottoms off so that the roots can extend out into the ground as they grow bigger, instead of, you know, until this breaks down, I don't want them just all stuck in that cup struggling. So cut the bottoms off and then plant them. Over here I have more herbs. There's nothing in these back 3 pots, but up here, I do have some more herbs. Some of them have not started sprouting, some of them have. So this is my first cilantro sprout. And again, I just direct sowed these last weekend. I just kind of wanted to see how they do. I'm not, an expert on container gardening at this point. So like here you can see this is dill, and I have some seeds that are kind of floating to the top here. I'm just gonna push those back down in there. Anyway, the hard part with containers, especially the small, is making sure that they get enough moisture. These ones do have the holes on the bottom for the drainage, but they also dry out very quickly. I love the clay pots just for this, the southwestern look, and they're just so pretty to have around. And you don't really need to they're really inexpensive to buy them, and you really don't need to do anything to them. And you can paint them, you can do whatever you want to them. Just make sure whatever you paint them with isn't going to bleed off into your soil. I would recommend maybe not painting the inside of them. And just, if you are an artist, just paint the outside if you want to. But these are very inexpensive pots to buy. I get mine at Walmart, Home Depot, and they're actually very cheap. They're not crazy expensive. So I just have a couple different sizes. I wanted to try some herbs. I'm trying to get to where, like with the chamomile, stuff like that, I'm trying to get to where I can dry and make my own tea for the winter. So I'm really hoping that I can get to that point, because tea is what, we do a lot of tea in the winter months here. Back here I have my beans and also my okra. So the beans are looking really, really good. I'm actually extremely excited. The sticks are here because eventually soon I'm going to tie or kind of mount, well, you know, support them there. That way they have a little bit more support, because beans get very tall and they get very heavy, so they need that support growing up. The okra, I've honestly never grown okra. This is my first time. I love okra, and I'd be happy to pickle and jar it, freeze it, you know, eat it all the ways that you can eat okra. I love okra. I think Jay likes okra as well. I don't know. I'd have to ask him about that, but I absolutely love it. So I did try my hand at a few okra plants here. Those will need to be transplanted. I'll have to do a little bit more research on how to support them when they are transplanted. But again, I'm just kind of still hardening these guys off a little bit. So honestly, the beans are probably ready. They honestly are probably ready. So, you know, either this weekend, maybe some point next week, I'll get those transplanted, and I'll probably do the okra at the same time. They're ready for direct sun. They need the direct sun. They use a lot of energy to grow because they are big plants. So I don't want to keep them indoors, you know, too much longer. Typically I would have just direct sown these direct into the ground in my garden. I've had a really great harvest before with beans, green beans, and again, okra's the first time. So in these pots here, I did plant some garlic sprouts. Garlic you're supposed to plant like, I don't know, late fall, and they stay cold all winter, and then by the, you know, spring and summer they start coming up and they sprout. Well, as you can see, these guys are loving it. This garlic was garlic that I bought at the store that had started sprouting in the kitchen. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna try to see what happens here. So I just planted each little clove that had the sprout on it, and they're actually extremely happy. The shoots have, you know, started growing. So if nothing else, I might get some garlic shoots out of it. But we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens by the end of the year. Maybe I'll have some new cloves of garlic. I don't know. We're gonna, you know, we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll let y'all know how that goes. But this is not your typical way of planting garlic. So if you plan on planting garlic, I would definitely research for the correct times and how garlic grows. Again, typically they use the colder months to, you know, develop roots, or however their little root grows off the, you know, off the little bulb and stuff. So so yeah, this definitely is not a typical way to plant garlic, but I had so much of it and I didn't want to throw it away, and so much of it had started to sprout. Now I could have used it for cooking, but I still have a ton more in there to use for cooking. So I was like, you know, I'm just gonna get a little curious here. So we'll see what happens there. In here I have planted carrots. I saw this video. So this is another one of the food grade buckets, only it's a 2-gallon bucket. I believe it's a 2-gallon bucket. Anyway, it's food and beverage safe. It was just the smaller one of the other ones. I did drill the holes in the bottom, and I decided I'm gonna try some carrots. Carrots are really hard. They take a long time to sprout sometimes. I remember the first year I planted carrots, I was like, oh man, I didn't get anything. And then all of a sudden they came up and we had an amazing harvest. They take a while. They obviously need room to grow down. So that's why I did it in this bucket. I probably could have done it in a bigger bucket even, just for, you know, the longer carrots. They might get a little stubby in here yet, but I thought, well, shoot, I'll plant some and see how it goes. These guys also like to be fed. Carrots like to be fed a lot. So, you know, we have a really great fertilizer that we use that's fully organic. We got it at Osuna Nursery in Albuquerque. And we use that to feed the plants, and they absolutely love it. And that year that we were feeding them with that is when I had my really great harvest of carrots. So anyway, I'm really excited. But I did want to show you all because I do have a little sprout in here. So I am trying to figure out if that's actually a carrot sprout, or if it might be like a seed sprout from, you know, the trees blowing or something like that. So I'm gonna let that little guy grow though, and we'll see if I get any more coming up. Hopefully I do. Like I absolutely love carrots, homegrown carrots especially. We'll just eat them whole with hummus and stuff like that. So anyway, there's that one. And then the last one here is lettuce. And lettuce again is another cold weather crop. So we'll see if I can, I put it in here. We'll see how it does. It's kind of a short, a short pot. But I think if I can get a few good strong heads of lettuce, I think they'll do good kind of mixed in here. So again, I planted a lot of seeds in here, so I'll definitely have to thin this out once they start getting bigger and I can see which ones I think are going to be stronger. But yay, I'm so excited that they're coming up. With this being in this pot, I'll be able to move this into a shadier spot when they start getting bigger, because I don't want the lettuce will bolt when it's too hot, which means it'll go to seed. It bolts really fast, it'll go to seed, and then it makes the lettuce actually really bitter and nasty tasting. So we'll see how this goes. Technically, lettuce likes to be planted early spring. It definitely thrives in the colder, in the colder weather. I am out here in Edgewood, so it's cooler here for sure than it is in Albuquerque. But we're getting up into the 90-degree days here as well. So it's just, it's just going to depend. I mean, we probably won't, we might have a few days where we'll hit 100 out here. But with the rain and the cooler climate and the elevation being as high as we are out here, it's definitely a lot cooler than it is in Albuquerque. So I'm hoping that actually helps with all the plants, because it can get too hot for plants and then they're burning. But anyway, that is my garden story. That's the progress of all my little sprouts of my container gardening, and I just wanted to show you all a little bit. Anyway, enjoy the view and have a wonderful, blessed day. I honestly hope that that you are close with God and Jesus Christ, and I do pray for everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.